This scene was pulled from Season 4, Episode 4 of The 100. In this scene, we see Octavia fleeing from a group of Ice Nation warriors after Hyeyoun, the king of the Ice Nation, proclaims that they are now considering the Sky Crew to be enemies. The Ice Nation warriors were instructed to bring Octavia back alive to be imprisoned with what is left of the 100.
The scene first starts off with the wide shot of Octavia running with her horse through the forest with a shaky view. The shaky cam technique is used to display a sense of urgency and danger. The scene then cuts to a close-up shot of her catching her breath and looking around. The background image here is very clear, giving a sense of alertness. She then looks back at her enemies and faces forward again. Here, Octavia takes the most of the shot with the light coming from directly in front of her. This lighting choice brings a softer feel. However, in the background, we can see the Ice Nation warriors. They don't take up much of the shot, however, they are wearing war paint and are cast in darkness. This allows the viewers to assume that Octavia is the good guy and they're the bad guys. Now the scene shows a wide shot view of her enemies coming after her in the forest, then cuts to a low-angle shot of Octavia on her horse and continues to show one of her enemies right behind her. Most of the shots between characters have been medium-close shots at a low angle, suggesting a power struggle between the opposing sides. While most would show equally matched contenders on the same level, the director chose not to, instead using the low-angle shot as a tool to point out their strengths and better capture the emotion.
Once the warriors enter the clearing, the camera cuts to a side view of them, taking up the entire frame. We can assume that the intent here was for them to be portrayed as a wall, impenetrable and dominating. The camera then cuts back to Octavia just in time to see her dismount from her horse and cause it to flee, knowing she now must fight. The camera doesn't stay on her for long, however, as we can see it cutting back and forth between the two women. We can see that Echo is speaking, but it keeps jumping back to Octavia as she slows her breathing. By doing this, we can see the transition of expressions that cross her face in very little time as she prepares herself to fight to the death. The archer then raises his bow as instructed, but the camera jumps back just in time to see Octavia throw her knife. The camera pans to follow the knife as it becomes lodged in the man's chest, and follows his body as it falls off the horse, then focuses in on the lifeless form on the ground. This is of no surprise, as the entire scene focuses around life and death. This only increases the intensity. The other two warriors then dismount their horses and come in to attack. Their approach is framed by a tilted medium-long shot. This choice of framing makes the warriors seem more intimidating, and the clear background image suggests that they are set on completing their mission. The scene now shifts from a chase scene to an action-packed fight scene. The director chose to jump back and forth between medium-long shots, low-angle shots, wide shots, and aerial shots, and all in quick succession. I think this choice amps up the intensity of the fights and increases the perceived speed of the events occurring. After the second warrior dies, we can see that it is just one-on-one between Echo and Octavia. The camera angles still jump around, however. When we occasionally see wide shots, it differs between who is dominating the frame. The camera then pans out to the cliff that is right behind them, reminding the audience of the depth and ever-present danger. As we see Octavia getting pushed back, the camera cuts to a close-up shot of Echo, where we can see that she has no intentions of backing down. Echo knocks the sword from Octavia's grip and forces her to the ground.
Here we see the camera fall with Octavia and bounce. This technique gives the viewers the feeling of impact and expresses a sense of urgency. The camera then cuts to a low-angle shot of Echo's face and pans down her legs, which show her dominance over Octavia in the battle, while also showing her injury and only current weakness in the situation, giving the audience hope for Octavia's victory. When Octavia gets stabbed, the camera pans down and zooms in on the knife sticking in her stomach, then cuts to the back to show the exit wound while zooming out. The zooming in emphasizes the initial shock and creates a focus on what happened, and when it zooms out, it creates a sense of her life leaving her body, emphasized by her blurred surroundings. We see a reverse shot between the faces of the girls, breathing heavily with the background blurred, emphasizing on their heavy breathing, telling the viewer that the fight is over. This is the first moment in the scene that seems to slow down. This use of speed captures the experience of a true fight-or-flight situation. The reduced speed also shows the audience how taxing that the chase and the fight were. The camera shifts to a close-up shot of her boots, reminding the viewers that this entire scene is at the edge of the cliff, implying that she is about to fall. The camera moves below her further into the drop and shows her full body falling off the cliff through the air lifeless. We are now cut to a shot looking down at the water red with blood. This visual is much darker than before, showing the depth into the earth. When they were on land, there were lighter beiges and greens. This darkness is meant to signify the death of Octavia.
Octavia, come Sky Queen.